From the Fox Studios in New York City, this is Maria Bartiromo's Wall Street.
And happy weekend to all. Welcome to the program that analyzes the week that was and helps position you for the week ahead. I'm Maria Bartiromo. President Trump dropping the hammer on Big Pharma this week, striking a breakthrough deal with Pfizer to cut drug costs and end decades of price increases in the United States. The administration also set to launch a new TrumpRx website that will cut out the middleman entirely, allowing Americans to buy medicines directly from manufacturers. But because it's Republicans and not Democrats taking on Big Pharma and actually winning, the liberal media is throwing a fit.
Our U.S. government is going to sell Pfizer drugs on a website named after Donald John Trump.
Experts I'm talking with are kind of scratching their heads to say, how is that actually going to save folks a lot of money?
Democrats, literally, that was a campaign slogan in 2016 and in 2020. But Trump and his allies used to call that, a year ago today, socialism.
Well, actually, this is not the government taking over industry. This is the private sector responding to competition. Under President Trump's leadership, major drug makers such as Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, and AstraZeneca have already come to the table and announced direct-to-consumer sales and price cuts that benefit U.S. patients. That does not sound like socialism. It sounds like a president putting America first. Joining me now is FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. Dr. Makary, thank you so much for joining us this weekend. Your reaction to the president's moves here?
Well, look, what the president is doing is ending the great American ripoff. We pay 422% higher for the same drug as Europe and other countries around the world that are wealthy. These are not poor countries. These are comparable countries. And let's remember, the growth in drug spend in the United States is the fastest area of growth of healthcare costs. So when the president is working with individual companies to cut the price of drugs by 40, 50, 85%, that has enormous implications for our healthcare system. And I've seen it as a cancer surgeon, Maria. These poor families, as if having cancer is not hard enough, they have GoFundMe campaigns, and the churches are passing around offering plates. And for what? For the U.S. to subsidize the R&D of the world's drugs? So the president does not like to see other wealthy countries not pay their fair share, and now they will. We're going to get the best price for drugs among comparable countries in the world. It's called most favored nation status pricing, and we secured it with one country, and we're going to, with one company, and we're going to see more and more of these announcements come out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and you've said that TrumpRx is a major step toward making prescription medicine affordable.
That's right. This is not the administration selling drugs, as some are alleging. This is a simple place where we have curated where people can go to find the price of drugs, and it will connect them directly to the direct sales sites, bypassing the middleman of healthcare. Remember, the middleman of healthcare, the PBMs and all the other parties involved, mark up drugs significantly. Now you're going to be able to go direct. And this is not just a theoretical. We're talking about Medicaid getting most favored nation status pricing for all prescription drugs. That's going to have a significant impact in cutting the waste in the Medicaid program, which has been a commitment of this administration. And we're talking about real drugs here. A rheumatoid arthritis drug, Xeljanz, is going to be decreased by 40%. There's an osteoporosis postmenopausal medication, Duave, made by Pfizer. The team at CMS and the administration secured an 85% discount. So we're talking about real lower drug price, not 1 or 2% reductions. We're not talking about the previous administration trying to negotiate pennies on just a small subset of drugs. We're talking about an 85% reduction. I think the average reduction is 80 to 85%.
Wow, that is a big deal. The president's also trying to get pharmaceutical companies to move their supply chains here. The fact that we only make 8% of antibiotics in the United States, that is a scary number, with 90% of the underlying components of our medicines made in China. But he had a 100% tariff on pharma. He was expecting to institute that. He's put that on the side for now as he negotiates with these pharmaceutical companies. What are you expecting here? I know a number of them have already started breaking ground and tried to move supply chains to America.
Yeah, we're seeing an exodus of pharmaceutical manufacturing come to the United States. And this is where at the FDA we're doing our part to tell companies, if you're going to make a drug in the United States, we're going to put your application at the front of the line of all the generic drugs that are being considered. We are calling pharmaceutical CEOs. You know, we're not a passive receive-only FDA in this administration. We're reaching out to the companies and saying, we'd like you to move the manufacturing to the U.S. They're saying, well, there's red tape and there's bureaucracy we got to deal with. We're telling them we're going to cut that completely for them. We have a program at the FDA called PreCheck where companies can build their manufacturing facilities. We will inspect it with them through the design and construction phase, and it's ready to go on day one. So there's zero government bureaucracy stopping them. And they're saying, yes, they like this idea. They're moving their manufacturing to the U.S., and we're going to keep going.
Well, this is a national security issue, so thank you for that. Dr. Makary, look, there is backlash now against the FDA's approval of a second generic version of the abortion drug, mifepristone. Despite an ongoing study on its safety risk, the HHS secretary said that a legal technicality is to blame. What is your response here?
Yeah, here's some important things people should know about this recent generic approval of mifepristone. First of all, it's already been generic. It's not as if we're now making this drug available in generic form. It's already been approved in a generic form years ago. The second important point is that legally, we have no discretion to decide whether or not a drug can be a generic if it meets the legal criteria for being generic. The FDA has no discretion like we do with drugs where we consider safety and efficacy. If the molecular structure matches and the manufacturing requirements are met, we have no discretion whatsoever. And the other thing is that we are constantly doing a study on mifepristone because we're learning more about this medication, and we should never close our eyes and say, well, we don't ever need to look at safety again because something is approved.
Meanwhile, federal officials have been sounding the alarm on Beijing targeting U.S. kids with illegal vape pens. These pens are made in China. The FDA launched a campaign to push more than 300,000 retailers to pull these products from their store shelves. Doctor, you've noted that China could be raking in as much as $100 billion a year from organized crime moving these products across the border into America. It's not an only child addiction issue, but a national security problem funding our enemies. Your reaction to what China is doing with these vape pens?
Well, look, these vape pens are banned in China for Chinese kids, and yet China is sending them into the United States targeting children. And we know that because some of these vape devices have video games part of the device, small little video games designed to get a child addictive. They've got very attractive flavors designed to attract children, like Fruit Loops. And they have Bluetooth devices so that kids can listen to their music while they're vaping. It's part of the same device. These products are not legal in the United States. They're not FDA approved like other legal vaping products are approved in the United States. And it's one of these things where we've got to stop and ask what's going on, because we don't want kids vaping from scratch. We don't want them picking up an addiction, not because they're transitioning from combustible cigarettes to illegal vaping devices, but because they're told it's cool or they find it attractive and they start vaping these illegal Chinese vaping products. So we've got to address this.
Wow, absolutely. Dr. Makary, thanks very much for your leadership and all that you're doing. We so appreciate your work.
Thanks so much, Maria.
All right, Dr. Marty Makary joining us.